guys, welcome to Lesson 17. Lesson 17 actually can be a little bit easier than the stuff we've been doing lately, so try to disguise your disappointment. We're going back and we're working on some stuff with strings. So go ahead and put in to your Lesson 17 class and look back to good old public static void main. So we're going to be testing out some stuff with string. So put this all in there. And what we're going to learn today is some new methods. We're not going to create them, so don't freak out, but we're going to be learning some new methods that are already built into Java that we can use. So the first one that we're going to work with is called compare to. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say compare method, or compare string method. How does that sound? So what we're going to do is we're going to compare string 1, which is the Dukes of Hazzard, to string 2, coat room. Obviously they say different things, but we have a method that's pre-built within Java called compare to. So we first call on our object s1 dot compare to, and we're going to compare it to s2. So obviously they're not the same thing, so this is going to return something that we're probably not used to seeing. So go ahead and run this and say OK. And it returns -15. What does it even mean? So what happens here is compare to returns either negative, positive, or 0. Those are the three results that we can have. So you may remember back to when we learned about ASCII. This is in lesson 13, it's in page 63 of your book. So if you recall, capital letters are between 65 and 90, whereas lowercase letters are between 97 and 122. Now this doesn't even compare the two full strings. What it does is it takes the first one from S1, the capital T, and subtracts the value of lowercase c. So really what this does T minus C. So in ASCII, T is 84 and C is 99. So if you take out 99 from 84, you get -15. So this does actually work. So if you swap the two around and made string 1 string 2 and string 2 string 1 and ran it, would give you +15. So it was doing the 99 minus 84. So now let's see what happens when we make them both the same. And I'm just going to copy paste. If you have not figured this out yet, you're welcome. You're about to save yourself a whole lot of stress over the next 2 weeks. So go ahead and run that again. And should give you 0 because T minus T, or 84 minus 84, is 0. So remember the lesson we just did when we were trying to test if two strings were equal? That result right there is a great way to tell. So the next method we're going to learn is index of. So you may remember before we've done indexing, which is if you look in your book on page 89 in lesson 7, indexing, remember we start with 0 and then the index is the location of each character in the string. So index of is going to tell us the location in the string. Alright, so I'm going to copy our system print line. Well, not the stuff at the end because you don't really need that. Okay, so instead of doing this stuff, we're going to say index of. And remember, and this goes with compare to also, that what you do in Java is you leave the first one lowercase and the next word capitalized. So that's why it's compare, then capital T for 2, and index, and then capital O. So index of, and we're going to look for the word hazard. It says there's an error. Let's find out what our error is. So there's an extra close parentheses. So let's get rid of that. And now we should be good. So let's go ahead and run this. And it gives us 0 because of our first system out print. And the next one is 13 because if you look where it's labeled out for us, hazard starts at location 13. So there is something you can do with index of. So you can start looking for a certain location, kind of like in Microsoft Word where you can select a certain amount of, like a paragraph instead of the whole paper and search for something in that paragraph. So what you can do here is put comma 5. So we're going to start looking at index 5. And so it should still give us 13. So let's go ahead and run this. It gives us -1. -1 in Java as a result means that there is no index -1, so it can't find it because we accidentally left it here in the quotes. So let's put that quote back on the hazard and then leave that comma 15 in there, or 5 in there, and let's run it. So then it started looking at 5, it found it at 13. If we change that 5 to a 15 and run it, it returns -1 because if it starts looking here at the Z, it only starts at the Z and then searches to the end. It doesn't go back and restart. So that's why we get an error. Well, not an error, but a result of -1 index. All right, I'm going to copy and paste that line again. All right, you can also use this, and I'm going to get rid of the 15, but you can also use this to look for characters. So if I put in character capital D, right, which is right here, it should give me a 4 because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now remember, characters are single apostrophes and strings have quotes, so make sure you can tell the difference. And run it, and it sure does give us 4. You can also, if you know the ASCII code for capital D, which is 68, you could find the index where it is based on the ASCII code. So you can run it, and it still gives you 4. Very cool. You can also have a modification of index of and call it in last index of, which means if we're doing index of, it finds the first instance. If you do last index of, okay. So remember, if you put in last index of, I gets capitalized now, but last does not. And we're going to put in Z. So there are 2 Z's here. One is at location 15 and one is at location 16. So this should give us 16 instead of 15. It does. So if we try it again with just index of, it should give us 15 instead of 16. And it does. So I'm actually going to change it back so that we know index of and last index of. The next method we're going to use is the char at method, which is one we have actually dabbled with a little bit before. So char at, what it does is it looks at a string and it finds a character in that string. So if we do this, we're looking at string S1 and we're going to find the character at 6, which if we look 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 should give us back a K. So if we run it, it does give back a K. Alright, so now we're going to look at the replace method. So this is like kind of like a find and replace, but it's for Java instead of Microsoft. So what we'll do is we'll put in string S3 and say equals S1 dot replace, and then you put in your old character and your new character. So you're going to put in something with something else. Alright, and it's saying I'm having an error, probably because I need a G at the end of the word string. So this first part here is the old character. So let's replace the word Dukes. And let's replace it with dorks. And then what we want to do is we want to print out that string. So copy paste, and we want to print the string S3. All right, so go ahead and run it. The dorks of Hazard. Oh, God, that's funny. You could also do this with individual characters, like if you wanted to not do dukes, but you wanted to do like the spaces and turn them all into underscores. You could do that. So it does change every single space into an underscore. But personally, I like to keep it dorks a hazard. All right. The last one we're going to cover in this lesson is called the trim method. So what trim is going to do is it's going to get rid of any excess white space we have. So we're going to do string s4 equals. We're going to do a tab in there. An actual, we'll do a few spaces, 3 or 4 ought to do it. Ding dong. Do another tab. Do a new line. And then we're going to end that line. Okay, so something in there is not correct. So it looks like I need to close my parentheses and not put a quote on the other side of my semicolon. It's still having an issue. What is it saying? Let's me delete this and close. Oh, because I didn't put a open one in there. That's why. All right. So now that we troubleshoot it a little bit, or troubleshot, I'm guessing that's what the past tense of that verb would be. We're going to do system.out.println s4.trim, and then just do open and close quotes and end your line. So what it's going to do is it's going to print it out. So before we do the trim, let's just print out what it would look like before. So print it, and ding dong's all the way over there because of the tab, and you can't really tell what's on the end. So let's do plus open quote. There we go. So now it'll tell us where it ends. All the way on the new line because of that new line. So if we do s4 dot trim, open close parentheses, what it'll do is it's going to get rid of all that extra white space. So at the very front here, I'm going to put in an exclamation point just so we know where it starts and stops. So if we run it, the ding dong is sandwiched right by those exclamation points. Alright, so your project Add 'em Up will help you. It has partial code in here for you to follow, but then you'll have to modify it, and then you have some questions. Good luck with lesson 17. Let me know if you have any questions.